Thunes has recently secured $72 million in a Series C funding round, and the company is now expanding into China. So this exciting news has garnered significant attention in the media, and as a result, I think it's a perfect time to conduct an interview with Peter De Caluwe, the CEO of Thunes. This interview will provide valuable insight into Thunes' expansion plans, the company's vision for the future, and the impact of the funding round on their operations. So hi, Peter. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, likewise, and thank you for having me.
So, Peter, Thunes started basically just 7 years ago in 2016. What are some of the highlights of Thunes' growth journey, and how big is the company now, and where do you operate?
Sure. So maybe I will divert the question a little bit and explain what we try to solve, and then I will answer the question on the size and where we are. So Thunes was actually born in a concept of trying to solve, I would not say what's a problem, but what is an inefficiency in the cross-border payment landscape. So if today somebody wants to pay someone else in another country, it usually goes to a bank, and then you wire that money via the bank to the other country. And the inefficiencies we see there is that it's very complex to understand upfront how much it costs to wire that money. The bank will quote you a fee. There is always cable and wire fees who come later, depending on the correspondent banks these banks use, which are never known really upfront. And then secondly, you also don't know when the money arrives, because it depends again on the route it takes. It can be 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, sometimes 10 days. And then lastly, also that there is never a confirmation the money really has arrived on the other side. So we call this not a problem, but we call it an efficiency. And if you then put now the landscape of emerging markets to it, where many consumers and SMEs and businesses are using what we call mobile money accounts in Africa or wallets in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and there are quite a huge amount of them. Today there is around 3.5 billion users of these wallets. And these wallets, they behave a little bit like what we can compare with a bank account. You can get money, pay money, save money, get investments, etc. But these wallets, they're not connected to the global ecosystem of SWIFT or correspondent banks. So these consumers and businesses cannot pay and get paid by default across borders, or have a hard time to do that. So what we felt is like, if we solve these inefficiencies and we include all these wallets, we are basically building a global network, a global infrastructure, which interconnects countries and the users of those countries, being it consumers or corporates or SMEs, with the rest of the world. And what Thunes tries to solve is these basic three things. We aim to say upfront how much it costs to move money. So if you would move it with us, we tell you it's $1, $2, whatever the amount is, whatever route it is, but that's the amount. The recipient will also receive the exact amount you want him or her to receive. So there is no other recipient fees, etc. And then lastly, also, we're going to move that money instantly, which makes that there is no waiting time of 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, 10 days. The recipient gets it within the next 5-10 minutes in their wallet or in their bank account. And as I said, wallet, we include all these wallets. So you can now move money from bank to wallet, wallet to bank, and so forth. Now, to answer the question on size, Thunes is around 400 people in total. Mm-hmm. We are in 40 locations, which is 400 people. We have more than 50 nationalities in the organization. So it's a really global organization. And the network is tapped into 130 countries currently, where we can move money instantly in and out. And you need to see this 130 to 230, so it's A to B, B to A, A to C, and so forth.
Brilliant. So Thunes just announced a Series C with some of the major global investors. Tell us more about this latest investment round, and what do you aim to do with this funding, Peter?
Sure. I mean, Thunes has been really well funded and fortunate enough to attract great investors. Where Thunes is, of course, in a position, again, if I go back to the initial question, we move money in and out of countries. So to do so, we need to be regulated. We need to get approvals from central banks in countries and all this sort of goodies. And since we operate in so many countries, we deal with a lot of central banks, we deal with a lot of regulators. And these central banks and regulators, they also look at us, how serious are we? What is the capital requirement? Do we trust these fintech companies, startup companies to to really move millions of dollars in and out of our country. So for us, it's very important to have a balance sheet which is solid, with a cap table which is solid, with investors who are solid investors, so that we can show we are here to stay, we are serious, and we take things very seriously. Secondly, our company is in a growth mode, so we still invest a lot in adding new countries. 130 is a lot, but it's also still a lot to go. We also have existing customers who are growing with us, who are using our network, to who we can start providing more services than just the networking. So one thing we did last year is we acquired the company who is in compliance as a service. So obviously, if you have a network where you have a bank connected with a wallet, these are two parties who both need strong compliance technology. So we acquired the company so we can build services around not only moving the money, but also making sure that there's extra services built around, and compliance is one of them. So there is an angle of product development, there's an angle of market development, more infrastructure, where we will invest in the next years more money. And then last, I think in the current circumstances, there is also great entrepreneurs out there who have built amazing technologies, amazing businesses, and are unfortunate in a situation that they didn't raise the right amount of money on time. The markets currently are not that great, where we think maybe we can partner up with them in a sort of form of acquisition, creating joint venture, creating a partnership, where we can be together and scale faster and larger on a shorter term. So it's a combination of solid cap table, solid company, combination of growth, and a combination of potential acquisitions or joint venture structures that we can put in place.
Clear. So good causes. So you recently opened an office in Beijing, Peter, and expanded into China. Why is that market so important for you? And what can you offer to global customers in China as well to the Chinese community?
Sure. I think China is very exciting. I mean, my handicap is that I don't speak the language, but it's a country where there's a huge amount of products and services built for the rest of the world. So by default, you have millions of SMEs who are selling goods and services to the rest of the world. You have millions of Chinese people outside of China who are moving money back into China. So the size of the country is so large. The country also deals a lot with non-Western countries. Think about Africa region, think about Southeast Asia region, Latin America region, and they face the largest problems of paying bills or getting paid. So for us, it was a very important market, always on our radar. But it's also one of those countries where you cannot just go and say, hey, I can solve 10 countries for you to pay money to, because they say, like, look, we deal with 60, 70, 80. So for us, it was very important to get our infrastructure right, the size of the infrastructure, the coverage, before we could take a serious step. Secondly, China also is launching their digital currency. I mean, they launched it already domestically. The ECNY is a big digital currency, and obviously this becomes also a currency which is going to be accepted and used on a global trade side. And Thunes is ideally positioned to take a pole position in that and capture a big part of that potential volume.
Fascinating. Yeah, and let's talk a bit about the partnership with Visa, because that was announced a couple of months ago. Can you tell us more about that specific partnership and how it progressed since the announcement?
Sure. I think Visa has developed a network called Visa Direct, which connects cards to banks with cards. So very much focused on the traditional infrastructure of the financial system. And where Thunes is extremely strong is that we have developed also an infrastructure with all these wallet companies in these emerging markets. And if you look at it, again, these wallets, they behave like what we would call a bank. So you have millions and millions. I mean, I told the number, more than 3 billion in the world who are using a wallet as a banking instrument. The only difference is it's not issued by a bank. It's issued by telecom operators in Africa or e-commerce players in Southeast Asia. So the value that Thunes brings to Visa Direct is that we give them access with one single integration, one single partnership to all these hundreds of millions of wallets in one go. So here the strength of Visa Direct network, banks to cards, all of a sudden gets an extension of the size of the network, where now a card holder in the US via his bank can move money instantly into, let's say, a wallet into the Philippines. And that's the partnership. So we extend Visa Direct in scale, in size, in network nodes. Mm-hmm. And that's the partnership. Where are we? Obviously, we are, I mean, technology-wise and compliance-wise, there's a lot of work that has to happen. So we are in a phase now that we are launching the transactions. So the first customers are boarding on the network. I mean, it's quite fast, especially for the size of a Visa, because it's a large organization. But I think this is where the strength comes in, from a large organization with scale for tens and tens of years, have been built relations with large banks, etc. And then Thunes, who have been doing something similar, but then more on the emerging markets, focused on the wallets.
Yeah, it's very complementary. So we talked about your, building and expanding your global network, but I guess, every country has a different payment system, processes, regulations. So tell me a bit about your approach of growing your network.
Sure. I think what you say there is correct. Every country has their own currency to start with, has their own language, culture. I mean, every country is different to that extent. Some have really advanced regulators and really advanced local switching systems. Some of them are still building it. And this is exactly where Thunes plays a very strong role. So imagine a world where you have a mobile phone operator, and you're in the Netherlands, you work with, I don't know, let's say KPN mobile phone operator. Mm-hmm. You cannot call a Belgium phone operator. So you cannot call me, who is using, I don't know, Proximus in Belgium. That would be a really weird world. It's like it's only KPN can call to KPN and Proximus to Proximus. So in the back, somebody had to connect all these operators with each other, right? It's an infrastructure play. So think a little bit similar here. In the world of wallets now, these 3 billion plus wallet holders, being it SMEs or consumers, they all have their own providers. Some of them are telecom, some of them are e-commerce companies. So there is no connectivity. So that interoperability, making these connections happen, is where we focused on. Obviously, we need to connect to banks also, because there is also banks in these markets, and connected to the Western world. So our role has always been focused on that interoperability, that interconnection, and that infrastructure layer of connecting these people together.
Yeah, and Peter, you talked about this digital yuan in China before, and because we typically see that these innovations are coming to payments now. There is a lot of talk about CBDCs, stable coins, but also about artificial intelligence. Do you see Thunes being about to support these innovations? Can you tell us a bit more about how you support these?
Sure. I mean, there's 3-4 topics in your question. So carving them out, AI, we start using about a year and a half ago on our treasury platform. Where you need to see now, we have like all these countries covered. We need to move money on our infrastructure on an ongoing basis that we have everywhere, local currencies, trade, buys, provision, and so forth. And if you do 2 countries, you can do this with an Excel sheet, because you have country A and country B, and you have 2 pools with 2 currencies. But if you do 130 countries, you have like 20,000 plus options of moving money with different currency pairs. You cannot do this with Excel, and you cannot do it definitely not with your brains. So we started applying AI on this about a year and a half ago, so that we can scale and that the size of the business can approach. We don't allow the machines to decide on things yet, but they do the recommendations. So it's still a recommending environment. Secondly, on cryptocurrencies, we believe in cryptocurrencies as just an individual and management team. However, we focus on the inefficiencies of the global fiat currency. And that's just such a vast volume. I mean, there is like more than 100 trillions going over correspondent banking networks and rails. If we zoom into emerging markets and smaller amounts, it's 50 trillion plus. And that, we believe, that's inefficient. So we focus on that volume. Crypto is interesting, but the complexities it would add to us is a compliance side. So we decided to stay away from crypto for now and focus mainly on the fiat. On the I would say the digital currencies launched by the governments, there is hundreds of countries who are taking initiatives there. There is tens who are active. We are in a pole position in China. and there we will test and play, and if it works fine, then we will adopt. And it's a great, I mean, the trade between China and the rest of the world is massive, so we believe there will be volumes, there will be a significant, I would say, payments done with this digital currency, and there, as I said, we are exactly in the right spot to capture that opportunity.
Fascinating. And are there other innovations that you're watching and getting involved in, Peter?
I mean, individually and personally, sure. As an organization, we are extremely disciplined and focused. So we have today 3 problems we want to solve. We have our network, which is the core of the company. As you said in the beginning of the interview, we acquired a company called Limonetique about 2 years ago. Again, this was not to become a payment gateway. It was to make sure that consumers and businesses with wallets and mobile money accounts can pay to the rest of the world, so we can collect from them. And the third activity is the compliance, which is, again, it's a massive part of the cost of moving money is the compliance cost. So if we can automate this, and also in the compliance we use machine learning, same story. It's a very advanced technology we use there to just reduce cost of moving money across borders. So these 3 things we focus on, and we're extremely disciplined on executing, because the market is insanely big there.
Yeah, and the market's moving fast.
Yeah, correct.
So what are the hardest challenges for payments you see in the future, Peter?
I mean, I would focus on cross-border payments, which obviously is our domain, and as I said, compliance is a big challenge. You have so many banks, so many wallets, so many financial institutions. Some companies do a good job, some companies do a great job, some companies do an amazing job. And again, you need to interconnect all these, which is obviously our job and our value that we bring, to make sure that everybody has a certain standard. I think geopolitics and I'm not a specialist in it, but it's something which can impact and will impact the global trade up, down, and so on. We operate in emerging markets, which is a similar concept. We have regimes, countries who come and disappear in our network just because of changes in the local government who makes it impossible, sanctions, etc. So these are challenges we face on a daily basis, and with all the tensions you see going on in the world, I think it's going to become more complex going forward, and it's especially, again, us being this intermediator between different wallets, banks, etc., makes it a challenging environment. Yeah,
and Peter, I know you've been in payments for a very long time. Now with Thunes, also for quite a long time, but what makes Thunes different from its competitors, and how is the company's culture unique?
Sure. So Thunes, and thank you for reminding, I have a lot of gray hair. So let's start with the gray hair. The company is founded and managed by a large amount of gray hair people. So we tend to believe we have made lots of mistakes in the past, and we still make mistakes, by the way, but we feel that we are a little bit more robust in our thinking because we have made mistakes in the past and we learn from them. That aside, if you look at our team, as I said, we have 400 people with more than 50 nationalities, and I would challenge you to find companies who are that diverse. In the size we are, I mean, with 400 people in 40 locations, which makes it a truly global company. So from day one, Thunes was built around being a global organization, and I can tell you it's challenging as a manager to manage 50 plus nationalities, because we have also 50 plus versions of English, and mine is one, which is a Belgian accent, but we have plenty of others, and making that communicate during COVID, and this is a strength. So we play this out as a yes, it's sometimes challenging to communicate and to work together, but on the other side, how the cultural differences, the understanding of these markets, how we operate there, we all have built this over the years inside. So the company has found a way to work. And if you want to join us and you get attracted by, in the morning I can speak with a Chinese, in the afternoon with somebody from Middle East, and in the evening with a Latin American, and potentially Africa in between. If you get excited about that, and you have colleagues from all these different nationalities, and you can learn from these countries, we are the ideal company. And I think this makes us truly unique. I didn't see many other organizations who have this size and this depth.
Yeah, I was wondering, Peter, what is sort of the secret sauce or the secret clue that basically makes that all these people collaborate and work together? It's a good time, I guess. I mean,
sure. It's a culture. I mean, we built a company from day one like this. So it was always built to be a global business and at a global scale. We were always very big thinkers. Like, we don't build this just to solve the Southeast Asia problem. We wanted to solve the world. So from day one, it was built in. So then you attract a certain talent. And that cultural part of Tunesters, as we call ourselves, is very much focused on the purpose-driven of the organization. We want to solve that the world, the emerging markets, the 4 billion people living in this part of the world can pay and easily get paid, like sending a WhatsApp message or a WeChat message, and have a seamless experience at a fraction of the cost of what it costs today. And if you look at that purpose that drives people, that motivates us to get out of bed and get things done, that multicultural part is like, hey, I have my colleague, I can call somebody in Argentina, I can call somebody in China, etc. The work hard concept of like, we are 24/7 on, it feels weird. Yes, we have weekends and we take off, but everybody is in that mindset of like, we need to go fast here to solve this problem because the markets move so fast. So that cultural drive that we have created within the Tunesters is very deeply embedded. And it allows that somebody who sits on his own in a country, at an home office or a WeWork office or whatever, is still motivated because he knows like there's all these tech tools that you can connect with, but the business is solving a big problem, and I'm part somewhere in the structure of solving that problem.
So it's very much that purpose-driven.
And maybe one element is also, I think we are one of the only fintech companies who invest a lot of money in ESG, which is again that concept of if you work in emerging markets. It's 4 billion people. It's a massive population. Many of these countries are catching up on going green and investing diversity, etc. So we felt like as an organization we need to set that example here. And again, it costs money. You need to put effort into it. You need to put as a culture, you need to drive this. And this is something we have been doing from very early on.
Yeah. So Peter, last question. What are the things you're most looking forward for Thunes in the future?
Well, I guess for me it's like growing up a child. We went from baby to toddler to 5, 6, 7 years old now. It's that growing up scale that you go from 20 people to 100, from 100 to 200 to 400 now. So for me that ambition, that view that we have as an organization to get to $1 billion in revenue, $2 billion in revenue is real. It's there. We just need to execute really well. So that evolution, like seeing where we are now in 5 years from now, how does the organization look like? What footprint do we have? How can we make people grow in the organization to make sure we keep on executing on the right things? That's the most exciting part for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Peter. A fascinating story.
Thank you.
Yeah, really exciting. And well, thanks and lots of success on this journey with and the purpose for this with your team. Great. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you.